Good afternoon. My name is Richard Horn. I am a staff member with the Ontario Cattlemen's Association.
Curtis Royal, President of Ontario Cattlemen's Association.
David Stewart, Executive Director of the Ontario Cattlemen's Association.
Good afternoon. As I stated, my name is Curtis Royal, and along with my wife Diane, I own and operate Royal Farms in Simcoe County, a feedlot crop producing enterprise. This year it is my privilege to be the elected president of the Ontario Cattlemen's Association, which speaks for 19,000 beef farmers in Ontario. As you are aware, Ontario's beef and pork farmers have come together to partner with the provincial and federal governments to establish a price risk insurance program. Establishing our cattle price risk insurance program for our producers in the current year, 2011, is our #1 priority. This is what I want to talk about today. Beef production, including cow-calf producers, feedlot operators, and the service sector firms that support us, is integral to Ontario's economic success, especially in rural Ontario. Ontario's beef industry has recently been measured to contribute $938 million to Canadian GDP with over 13,000 direct jobs. This number can be doubled when meat processing, value-added food manufacturing, and food service jobs are included. These are significant numbers on a provincial scale, but the industry's contribution is particularly important in Ontario's rural agricultural heartland. However, this vital industry producing needed, high-quality, locally produced food is in decline in Ontario, and we want and need to partner with the provincial and federal governments to turn this situation around. Since 2003, Ontario's productive beef cow herd has declined 18.4%, while the productive sow herd has declined over 20% since 2007. When the numbers come in, we expect further retrenchment for 2010. We are very concerned that further comparable cuts in production would threaten the viability of Ontario's world-class value-added meat processing sector. Without a primary source of supply, these value-added industries will not be sustainable and will move elsewhere. These declines are the result of several factors, including border closures owing to BSE and H1N1 and historically high feed and other input costs. The decline has also brought increased competition from imports. Cumulative losses for beef sectors over the past 3 years has been pegged at over $300 million. U.S. beef imports to Canada are on the rise, increasing by more than 50% from pre-BSE levels. These imports are targeted to Canada's most important market, Ontario. Imports from the U.S. alone have increased over fivefold from 21,500 pounds in 2004 to 121,000, tons in 2004 to 121,000 tons in 2009. A level that, if produced locally, would have supported 2,221 additional jobs in Ontario. Added to this are the threats coming from competing jurisdictions from within Canada. The Government of Alberta has increased its direct provincial funding support to its beef industry, and Quebec's support to its beef industry through its ASRA program has ensured that as Ontario's industry declines, its producers survive. And as a result, the ability of Ontario's consumers to buy locally produced food is eroding, along with the jobs that beef production supports throughout the value chain. In response to the state of their industry and understanding that solutions needed to be found before the next crisis hit, farm groups from across Ontario were encouraged to come together to discuss their options and find a common solution. We would like to thank our Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, the Honourable Carol Mitchell, for recognizing that farmers need stable, predictable and bankable programs which help reduce our business risk. We also want to thank all of the MPPs who have given their time to listen to their local farmers promoting this program and have offered their support and words of encouragement. The OCA's Advisory Council reviewed the options, and we also undertook unprecedented consultations with our members to develop an insurance program tailored to their industry, drawing on the lessons learned from the recently extended grains and oilseeds program. As a result of these consultations, through county meetings and town halls, including an hour-long telephone town hall held to involve the entire membership, our producers have endorsed the program and told us that establishing this program in 2011 is their number one priority. The program would protect producers against fluctuations in both price and cost of production and would see insurance premiums paid by farmers to government, thereby allowing all partners to share in and limit their future risks. While the current federal provincial agri-stability program has been valuable to local farmers in managing risks to their profit margins in the short term, the program does not sufficiently protect against issues that affect markets over the longer term. As we have discussed, since 2003, beef producers have had declining and mostly negative margins, making them ineligible for support under agri-stability now. Many, if not most, livestock producers in Ontario are now ineligible for the very program that was supposed to assist and stabilize the industry. We are in a peculiar situation where producers most in need of financial assistance now can't get it. It must be kept in mind that the forces that have caused the situation are totally out of our control. Beef producers were hit with BSE-induced border closures in 2003, a year which was supposed to be our peak earning year. Given the subsequent feed hikes, input cost increases, currency appreciation, and other uncontrollable shocks to the market, beef producers have not been able to recover. We believe the cattle price risk insurance program is the answer and fills the needed gap in the suite of agricultural programs available to livestock producers. I now want to review the primary features of the program. First, the program is a complement to the current agri-stability federal provincial program. Producers must be enrolled in both programs and would receive the higher of the agri-stability or RMP program. Participation in both programs is voluntary. Second, the program will be funded by producer premiums as well as government contributions, initially by the provincial government and then hopefully by the federal government. We are actively lobbying the federal government to participate. There would be sub-programs for the three areas of our business: cow-calf operations, backgrounding, and for feedlot operators. Producer premiums will be set at 30% of long-term program payouts, making the program fiscally sound and responsible. At the 30% premium level, substantial market discipline would continue to exist and govern producers' actions. Producers would have every incentive to keep costs under control, run efficient operations, manage production volumes wisely, and innovate. The program would be fair to all producers no matter their size. The program would cover 100% of the difference between the support price and the market price for all who participate. The support price would be recalculated annually by OCA and OMAFRA based on a pre-agreed formula. Finally, while the program is not mandatory, those who participate must accept mandatory industry-wide production practices. These mandatory practices will move the industry forward and would include requirements for producers to attend verified beef workshops, ensure cow and calf vaccination, traceability and premise ID standards, and other requirements. An audit program would be put in place to ensure that producers remain compliant to these mandatory standards or they risk becoming ineligible to participate. The program is also fiscally responsible for the government and taxpayer. First, producers will be contributing 30% of the cost. Implementing the program would eliminate the need for most forms of ad hoc crisis funding in the future, such as the OCHIP program in 2007. It would also save both levels of government payments toward agri-stability in years when there were payments from the new price risk insurance program. Our implementation plan calls for a transition to a full insurance program to start in 2011. This transition period would allow farmers and ministry staff to prepare to meet their full program obligations. We also believe that this risk insurance program provides benefits not only to producers but to the public as well. First, as I mentioned, the program assures Ontarians that their beef producers are meeting the highest standards of production. It would help the industry turn the corner and reverse its decline. The viability of local food production in Ontario is overwhelmingly endorsed by consumers, and it would maintain their ability to secure locally produced beef. Any payouts made would almost be entirely spent in rural areas and would add to rural GDP and direct job creation, helping to grow the rural and provincial tax base. In conclusion, this insurance program would reduce or eliminate the need for ad hoc government support for both the pork and beef industries in the future and provide a platform to strengthen agriculture and agri-food industries as a major provincial economic engine for Ontario. The program would help sustain the rural economy of Ontario in the long term, particularly in communities that still rely on a strong food and agribusiness industry and a healthy farm sector. The program is affordable and it would capitalize on the growing consumer demand for locally grown, safe, environmentally responsible food. Thank you, and I would welcome any questions.
And the questions will come from the government side. Ms. Pendergast.
Thank you, Chair. Well, thank you, Curtis, for that presentation, and thank you for all the work that you do as President of Ontario Cattlemen's Association. And Richard, thank you, and David for being here as well. I'm just going to jump around in your document and ask a couple of questions, if you don't mind. Probably more points of clarification than questions. I want to start just by thanking you for your comments about the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, and of course Carol Mitchell, our Honourable Minister Mitchell. She gets it, the member from Huron, Bruce, and is committed to this. And we heard Wilma and Patrick from Ontario Pork, and I see in your very helpful brochure, actually, somewhat glossy, but very helpful brochure, that it's a concerted effort, that you're working together. Was it the www.BeefPorkRMP.ca? Just a little plug for you there. And of course, in my riding of Kitchener-Conestoga, it's largely rural as well, and so a lot of farmers there. My first question was about the cattle price risk insurance program as part of the agri-stability program, but you actually answered that for me, Curtis, on page 5, that it's a complement to that federal program. So I jumped to the brochure and see that it's you're recommending a 60-40 Fed-Prov split, that the province kickstart from the brochure, that the province act immediately to kickstart and fund their share of the program. I guess my natural question would be, what happens then if the feds don't come to the table? Where does that leave the industry?
Well, we are actively lobbying to get both levels of government there. We believe that the province, we certainly hope, is going to come forward here very soon, but we are still going to keep actively lobbying the federal government to participate and make this a fully funded program. That is our main goal. I guess at the start we will have to start off with, I guess, a 40% program, but certainly going to keep absolutely lobbying the federal government to make this a fully funded program.
So is the program designed in stages then? When you say it'll be a 40% program versus a 100% program?
Well, I guess if the province is the only one that comes on it currently to start it, to get it going here for us, that's all we'll have is the 40% share from the province, but we certainly would like them to come on stream right now, and we could start up a complete 100% fully funded program.
Because ironically, you say on page 6 to eliminate the need for ad hoc funding.
Yes.
Okay. Another, on page 7, you talk about local food production, the viability and the ability to secure locally produced beef. Obviously, I mean, in my riding, we have FoodLink. I did a resolution in the House, the Buy Local, Eat Fresh, that whole idea of working together in the agri-food industry. You talk about the program being affordable and capitalizing on growing consumer demand for locally grown, safe food. Are there any unforeseen costs in this that we might not see up front?
We aren't aware of any unforeseen costs. I mean, we've talked to the people from OMAFRA about this and the Minister's office extensively, and we believe that they have a very good handle on what we're looking for.
We love to hear that as a finance committee, that you've had the discussions and what you see is what you get, and this is the ask, and there are no other unforeseen costs to this. Excellent. Thank you.